start?
Just a minute.
Happening.
We are putting it live on the YouTube.
आणि रेकॉर्डिंग पण चालू आहे का?
Yes, recording. Got it. Start.
Good afternoon, everyone. From IAP Palghar District Branch, I welcome you all. Today, I am pleased and honored to introduce our august speaker. Though he looks like age has not touched upon him, he is a very senior pediatrician and director of Marathe Child Care Hospital and also Colors Pediatric and Neonatal Intensive Care Hospital, Nagpur. He was a president of IAP Nagpur and also president of National Neonatology Forum. Presently, he is an active member on National Advisory Committee on Vaccine and Immunization Practices. Friends, today's Times of India has headlines which states that National Drug Regulatory Body has cleared 2 vaccines for its use in children from 5 to 12 years of age on emergency basis. Another worrisome fact is that Maharashtra's daily count of COVID is nearly double in a single day. Today we have best person who will give us detailed insight about various vaccines against COVID and latest protein subunit vaccine, which is said to be a game changer to end this pandemic, as it is patent free and also one of the venture of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Please join me to welcome Dr. Sanjay Marathe.
Warm welcome.
Warm welcome, Dr. Sanjay.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. But again, I will have to screen.
Oh, you will have to screen it again. Do it again.
Yeah. I hope I am visible as well as audible.
Yes, Sanjay, you're visible and audible.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, respected Joshi sir and madam, Sute madam, all my seniors, and you can say girls-dominated association of IAP Association Palghar, President Dr. Anjali, Secretary Dr. Vaibhavi, Treasurer Dr. Anuradha, and today's moderator and VP Dr. Jayashree, who is my senior and friend from my own college, Government Medical College. Thank you, Jayashree, for your kind words. Thank you, IAP Palghar, for giving me this opportunity to share the screen for the academic activity, which will last for almost 90 minutes. I think today we'll be discussing so many issues in the COVID, and there are so many things which cannot be completed in this span of, say, 1 hour. I might have deleted a few important points which will be covered during question and answer session. I have tried to give as much as information as possible and will try to cover. My sincere request to all of you in this afternoon, when many of you would like to go to take a nap for about, say, half an hour, just join me for this COVID story for next 45 minutes to 1 hour. I'm sure it is quite interesting, and what we have learned in last, say, 2 years will be, you can say, given in this span of, say, 1 hour. Let us start with this COVID journey. Today's topic which Jayashree has given me is quite big one. Boost the immunity and beat the anxiety. How can I protect myself and my patients? It's a very relevant topic, I personally feel, where we'll be concentrating on the different platforms of COVID vaccines and recent updates on protein subunit vaccine, which Jayashree has very rightly said is likely to be a game changer in this COVID management. why we have taken these different platforms, you'll be amazed to see in a span of 1 year, I think 200 candidates participated into making different vaccines using different platforms, which we have not even heard about it. We have only couple of platforms inactivated, live, sub-unit vaccine, but now you'll be amazed to see there are so many other platforms which they have tried and very successfully implemented in many of the developed countries. Just to give an example, mRNA vaccine. Not a single mRNA vaccine was available till yesterday, and now mRNA vaccine has become a vaccine of choice in the Western world. So this kind of a change has happened. Let us see one by one what is the story like. This is a big culprit, a good-looking virus, RNA virus, from an coronavirus. You can see corona means crown. You can see the spikes on the surface. The important antigens which are of some importance to us, like envelope E antigen, membrane M antigen, nucleocapsid N. What is more important to all of us in today's discussion will be a spike protein antigen called as S antigen. And the name of this virus is severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 2, because we have coronavirus 1. Now this is named as coronavirus 2 by WHO. And it has really played a very spoiled sport in last 2 years. What it has done, unimaginable, unprecedented, unbelievable, a disease which none of us could have even imagined in our dream. What it has done, it has put everybody in the world on the verge of insecurity that whether you will be alive tomorrow or not. This kind of an fear in our mind. And I'm sure nobody sitting in this audience would have even imagined that kind of a thing in our life. This is something which is beyond our imagination. What it has done, it has turned into a global human tragedy with economic devastation. Not only economic devastation, mental, emotional, developmental. We have seen the economies going into the like anything. All the countries, their income has gone down to say 20%. In our own country, we have seen the economic burden, the problems of excessive use of TV and media. We have seen obesity on the rise. We have seen poverty increasing. We have seen people have lost their jobs. We have seen child labor increasing. We have seen physical punishment given to the pediatric population. They were forced to work, increase in the child labor. And the 31st December 2019, where the world was enjoying the New Year's Eve, one story from Wuhan has said some kind of a pneumonia has set in and which is spreading like anything. We do not know what is the etiology. Within 3 months of that, that is around February or March, WHO describes it has got a pandemic potential and 80 lakhs people have already been infected with this virus. That kind of an potential it has. Then rest of the story, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, there is nothing which we can say that this is going to stop. Not a single drug to fight, not a single remedy available. And I personally feel this is one thing I will tell you in the next slide. The only hope in last 2 years, even today, which we are carrying with us, only one thing which is going to protect us is the vaccine, vaccine, and vaccine. Let the anti-vaxxers say whatever it is, but I think the only vaccine has given us some kind of an safety, some kind of an protection. And today we are all here to discuss about COVID only because we have taken vaccines, and vaccines have proved excellent efficacy against the severe disease, against the mortality. Don't go by the primary disease. If you delete the severity of the corona, it is like any upper respiratory tract infection, which all of us have experienced during Omicron. People were not worried about Omicron because Omicron was not causing the serious disease. Omicron was not associated with the mortality. So all of us were very happy. Okay, Omicron, मेरे को भी हो गया, इसको भी हो गया, उसको भी हो गया. But vaccine has protected us from the severity of the disease. So point number 1, all of us will keep in mind, irrespective of whatever vaccines we are using, don't go by the vaccine efficacy 90%, 70%, 60%. all vaccines are 100% efficient in protecting you against the severe disease or the mortality. This is, I think, the first take-home message for all of us. This is a very common joke on the COVID. This is regarding the Trump. He was very casual about the pandemic. He said, oh, nothing, it's a viral infection, nothing will happen, don't wear mask and anything. He was in that campaign mode of elections. And it says, one former patient was so brain damaged afterwards when he had COVID, he thought he won an election, but he actually lost by 7 million votes. This kind of a traumatic effect even the Donald Trump had when he had COVID and he was in that state of delusion. Just to put it in the severity of the pandemic, these figures I got about just 3 days back. Can you imagine 50 crore patients in this world? I have not heard of any disease with 50 crore patients and 62 lakhs patients dying of single disease in 2 years. This is unimaginable. India has done fairly well. Almost 10% of the total cases, 4 crore cases in our country. Mortality, most probably it is under-reporting, but we have lost officially 5 lakhs people. What USA has done, I think the ego was hurt of USA, the country which was supposed to be the highly advanced, medically as well as financially. They thought we can tackle any situation and see the number of cases, 8 crore cases in USA and their mortality is almost touching 10 lakhs. So even if India has under-reporting of 5 lakhs, even if you take it is 10 lakhs, it is matching with the USA standard where our population is 3 times the USA. Our medical infrastructure is quite inferior to the USA. So I think here one thing the nature has taught all of us that whatever advanced you people are, nature has got the upper hand. And I think the viruses and bacteria own this world more than what we are supposed to. I think this is the second message I would like to give. Even after 2 years plus, what we have left with, still the COVID is there. Jayashree has rightly said the number of COVID cases have doubled. So we are still in that, having that fear that tomorrow the 4th wave might come. It's a pandemic situation. Nobody in our generation have experienced pandemic. There is, because it's a pandemic, there is no natural immunity. High or not, means transmissibility is very high, infectivity is very high. Not a single antiviral drug has proved to be effective, and I'm sure everybody must have used from hydroxyquinoline to what not till today, and nothing has proved to be an effective drug. Morbidity and mortality changing as per the variant of concern. We had a lot of mortality with Delta. We were slightly better off with Omicron. I do not know what is going to be the next. So we'll have to see whether the new variant of concern is going to have high mortality, morbidity or high infectivity. So the situation has not changed in 2 years, except a better vaccine has come. So friends, those who do not believe in vaccine, you can wait, virus may not. This is the third take-home message for all of us. Have you seen that this vaccine, no vaccine has enjoyed so much of attention as previously? Jenner might have introduced a vaccine and I'm sure he must have been appreciated a lot. But in 2 years span, how much of appreciation they have got, how much limelight they were there, everybody is discussing. Governments, NGOs are sponsoring, funding crores and millions of rupees to develop a vaccine. Within a short period of 1 year, a vaccine is introduced, which has been given to everybody in this world. And first time in the history that so many doses of vaccine they are given in this world in the span of 1 year. I was reading, Indians have given 187 crore doses of vaccine till today. I think this is a world record. I think the world record by all the countries till now. And this is the, you can say this is the importance of vaccine which can prevent you from such diseases. Now, coming back to the topic. This is the vaccine. It's a beautiful looking vaccine. Why I have taken this slide. It shows the spike proteins and having the affinity for ACE2 receptors. Angiotensin convertase enzyme 2, which is situated predominantly in the respiratory tract, upper as well as lower, also in the renal system, also in the brain, also in the heart. The other receptors I will not touch into, but then it has got other importance, but I will just stick to this. So it has got an affinity to get attached to ACE2 receptors and to get entry into the host cells. This is a complete spike protein. This is a very important slide for us, the upper one. There are two parts, S1 and S2. S1 is predominantly having the RBD and NTD. RBD stands for receptor binding domain, and S2 component, and in between there is a cleavage between S1 and S2. The importance of these two, the S1 plays very important role in the attachment, so receptor binding. So it binds to the SE2 receptors, and the S2 part plays in the fusion process. So it gets attached to the host receptor and S2 part will make the entry of this virus inside the host cells. So both the receptors are, both the S1, S2 components are very important. Another importance of this spike protein, that till today in all vaccines of variants of concern, the mutations have taken maximum into S1 component and less into S2. So if you see, a lot of mutations have taken in S1, and if you prepare a vaccine with S1 only, what will happen? A mutant will have a immune escape phenomenon. The body will not recognize because it's a mutated S1, part of the S1. The body will say, I do not have any antibodies against this. So viruses can get entry directly inside. So therefore, the vaccine which has got a complete spike protein will be better as compared to the vaccine which has got only S1. Another point which all of us should remember, that coronavirus per se has a natural capacity to suppress our natural innate immunity. This is the biggest problem. And if you remember, BCG was introduced as one of the vaccines to be given in this patient because BCG has got this capacity to increase the primary innate immunity. That is called as trained innate immunity. Therefore, that time BCG was also tried in the management of COVID. Okay. This is an electron microscopic picture where we'll discuss what is the pre-fusion spike protein and a post-fusion spike protein and what is the importance of these two situations. Now, this is exactly what I was discussing. This is a coronavirus on the left side with the spike protein and a human cell with the AC2 receptors. I have given a vaccine. What vaccine has done? It has produced a neutralizing antibody which is in the green. What it has done, before the entry of the virus into the human cell, it has blocked because the antibodies were anti-spike protein antibodies. So spike protein was blocked by the neutralizing antibody, and therefore the virus will not get chance to enter into the human cell. And if I'm not wrong, every vaccine, whatever the platform they are using, they are ultimately creating these antibodies which will block the spike proteins. Now going to the second part. Why it is important? Because it is never discussed in any of the textbooks. And you will say, oh, this is from mRNA, this is nucleic acid platform, this is subunit platform, this is viral vector platform, this is inactivated platform. So what are these all platforms? I have tried to explain it in a very simple diagrammatic representation. A very busy slide. Don't go by this. I have just enumerated the different platforms. You can see A is for the live attenuated. There is no live attenuated vaccine available. One. The B says inactivated. The best example is Covaxin, which we are using in our country, like any other hepatitis A, which we are using it for so many. Then go to the C. C is a protein subunit vaccine. Example is Novavax, Covovax, Carbevax, which we are going to discuss in detail. Then we have got D is again the DNA vaccine, which we are going to discuss it again. Then we have E is a viral vector vaccine. I'm sure all of us have received the vaccine Covishield. So this is a viral vector vaccine. Then we have a DNA vaccine. Now this is the, we should be very proudly, we should say that the first DNA vaccine in the world is introduced to you by the Zydus Cadila in the name of ZyCoV-D, which has been approved to be given in the age group of 12 to 18 years onwards. Then we have nucleic acid vaccine, DNA vaccine, and RNA vaccine. DNA vaccine, which we have already discussed, RNA vaccine, we have got again two, got lot of importance in the world because that is the vaccine of choice which is given, which they have claimed to have very high vaccine efficacy. One was introduced by Pfizer, second was introduced by Moderna. But again, proudly we can say we are also manufacturing our own mRNA vaccine from a company from Pune. And very shortly it will be introduced in the market with the same efficacy. And added advantage to that is this mRNA vaccine, which has got basic limitation of the cold chain maintenance, where Pfizer requires -70, Moderna requires -20. Our own mRNA vaccine requires only temperature between 2 to 8. So that will come very soon in our. This is in short what we have discussed, that covaxin as an inactivated, then live attenuated not there, but Serum Institute is working on that. Novavax, which we are going to discuss as subunit vaccine protein. Then on the right side, we can see Oxford Gamaleya vector vaccines. That is Covishield is the example. ZyCoV-D, we have already discussed the DNA vaccine. Pfizer, Moderna, the RNA vaccines. So this is in our basket in the world where the different countries are using different vaccines. These are the vaccines which are now available in our country. Johnson & Johnson has not got approval till they have applied for the studies to be done. Novavax is available in the form of Covax by Serum Institute, but we have one more in the name of Corbevax by Biological Events. So all these vaccines are available and approved by NTAGI, the National Regulatory Authority, and slowly the government will introduce one by one into our COVID app, where it will be given to a different age category. So these are the vaccines which are available. For those who are interested, I have just shortlisted it. And I think we'll not go into the details, we'll go into the platforms first. Now, as far as the vaccines which are available in our country, the Covishield has got vaccine efficacy almost 81% if it is given in the gap of 12 weeks. This vaccine efficacy, again, I'm telling you, this vaccine efficacy against the primary disease. As far as the severe disease is concerned, 100%. So don't worry. Covaxin, 78% vaccine efficacy. Sputnik, which is now available, has got 91% efficacy. Against which strains? They have tried this against the primary strains. Wuhan strains, UK strains, not with the Delta, not with the Omicron. Because the studies were done at that time. The vaccine efficacy will go down as the new variant of concern will come. So if you ask what is the vaccine efficacy of the Pfizer vaccine, might be 95%. Now it has come down to 80%. After 6 months, it has come down to 50%. And that was one of the reasons why they have decided to give a booster every 6 months to maintain the high antibody titers to improve their vaccine efficacy. So don't get impressed by the vaccine efficacy which they are claiming. So these are the 4 vaccines which are available at present. Addition to that, protein subunit vaccine I have not included because that will be separately discussed. Other vaccines again will not go into the details. Going back to our target protein. This is again the most important part. Again the S1 and S2, and we'll go into what is that. Now in an inactivated or the killed vaccine, this simple diagram tells you that we have already seen in hepatitis A or the wholesale pertussis vaccine. A wild virus is taken. It is inactivated either by chemical, heat or radiation. It is inactivated, so there is no chance of spread of the disease. Quite a safe platform. We have used this, and now this vaccine is available. A dead coronavirus with the intact spikes on the surface will be given to the individual, where it will produce antibodies against n number of proteins, not only spike, but others also. So the advantage of this, that sometimes a variant of concern has come, it has got so many antibodies, might give you some more protection, but in reality, it has not happened. The second disadvantage with this killed vaccine, that high incidence of non-neutralizing antibodies, resulting in antibody dependent enhancement of the disease, which we'll discuss in subsequently. But this is one, you can say, part of the complications with the use of inactivated vaccine. The example is again, they are using an adjuvant alum, and example is the Bharat Biotech, which has introduced Covaxin. Other vaccines which are available in these platforms are Chinese vaccines, either Sinopharma or Sinovac. Now, a viral vector vaccine, which all of us has taken this vaccine, Covishield. Relatively, it's a new, you can say, platform, but not new to the immunologist. This has already been used in Ebola virus, Zika virus, even in HIV they have tried, but a vaccine could not come into the market. What they will do, it's a very simple process. They will take a segment of this RNA, which is responsible for production of the spike protein. It is introduced in the relatively a mild virus. Which mild viruses they have taken? They have taken an adenovirus. Adenovirus, you know, it is quite common. You get viral upper respiratory tract infection, relatively a harmless virus. They will take this virus, make it replication deficient. Means the virus cannot multiply more than one cycle. Then they will insert this segment into this virus, and now the vaccine is ready. This vaccine is given to us. What will happen? This adenovirus will take this segment, will get attached to the host cell, will send this viral segment inside. This viral segment responsible for the production of the spike protein will utilize the machinery of the cytoplasm, and n number of spike proteins are produced inside our own host cells. And now they are projected at the surface, and our own body will produce antibodies against the spike proteins. This is plain simple mechanism of how the viral vector vaccine works. They are trying with the measles virus, they are trying with the rabies virus, but at present, which is available is adenovirus. The AstraZeneca or the Covishield are using the chimpanzee adenovirus, whereas Gamaleya or Sputnik, which is available, they are using the human adenovirus. Even Johnson & Johnson viral vector vaccine, which is approved in CDC America, they are also using human adenoviruses. So either they can use human adenoviruses or they can use the chimpanzee adenoviruses, and then they will make it into a harmless virus and will serve the purpose. This is what I have already discussed. Already used in Ebola, Zika, dengue, but not the vaccine could not come. Now, I thought this is another important thing which all of us should know, because we have taken the COVID vaccine, this Covishield. The common complications which was noticed more so in the Western world rather than in India, and overall incidence which they have said is around, say, 7 patients in 1 million doses, and this is called as thrombosis with thrombocytopenia syndrome. This was seen more commonly with the first dose of Covishield for us. For them, it was AstraZeneca vaccine, and which was seen in first 4 to 42 days of the first dose. And what was more commonly seen with the females in first 50 years of age, and resulting into a clot formation. This clot formation was seen at the different places. It can be diagnosed by doing some blood test and a CT scan, and once identified, and especially if it is identified early, can be effectively treated. So what was the clinical features? Any person after receiving a Covishield vaccine like you and me, in say first few days, if he is complaining or she is complaining of severe headache, vomiting, not responding to your normal antipyretics or anything, associated with nausea, sometimes with convulsions, or severe abdominal pain with vomiting, or lower limb swelling with the pain in the lower limbs, or acute chest pain syndrome and breathlessness, you must go to the doctor. Doctor will think a possibility of thrombosis with thrombocytopenia syndrome, will investigate you, and the line of treatment is not platelet transfusion because the platelets are low, but the treatment is IV fluid, IV immunoglobulins, and steroids. And these patients can be very effectively managed, and here no heparin should be given. So any of your patients or your relatives or your friend complains of this side effect after taking Covishield, immediately go to a physician and rule out this only major complication with viral vector vaccine. Fortunately, in our country, with the use of Covishield, the incidence is quite low. It says around, say, 2 to 3 per 1 lakh doses given. So we should remember this. Protein subunit vaccine, The best example is Novavax in the world, and for us it is Covovax by Serum Institute and Corbevax by Biological Events, which is already been given approval by the government of India, and now it is available. What Jayashree was rightly saying, today only it has been approved from the age of 5 years onwards. Very safe platform. All of us are using it n number of times at an as early age of 6 months for the flu patients. So for the patients of 6 months for the flu vaccine, the subunit vaccine is also there for hepatitis B. So this subunit vaccine is a very commonly used platform, not new to us, very safe, highly immunogenic. Again, they are using that adjuvant, so cannot be given subcutaneously or intradermally or nasally. It has to be given intramuscularly. And as we are going to discuss this vaccine in details, I am just sensitizing you that this is the process in which the spike proteins are isolated, and this vaccine is made up of this only spike proteins with the use of adjuvant. So very safe, cannot spread the disease, and most probably with the safety, immunogenicity, and very good vaccine efficacy, this is likely going to be a game changer in the future. There are two types of vaccine. I have taken this slide especially here, that if you take a complete spike protein, you get a vaccine in the name of Novavax. If you take only a receptor binding domain and prepare a vaccine of subunit vaccine, then the vaccine which is available is called as Corbevax. So either you get only a receptor binding domain vaccine in the name of Corbevax, or if you get a complete spike protein, the vaccine available is Covovax in India or Novavax in the world, which is the same vaccine. DNA vaccine will not go into the details. What they are doing, they are taking a plasmid from the bacteria, again taking a segment of the DNA which is responsible for making a spike protein, will be introduced into the plasmid. The plasmid will carry this segment to the host. It is again broken into a mRNA vaccine, and mRNA vaccine, like the previous viral vector vaccine, will use the machinery and will produce n number of spike proteins, and again the vaccine will ultimately give you a spike protein, and antibodies will be formed, and therefore the protection against the spike protein is achieved. The example is ZyCoV-D, the first vaccine in the world introduced by our own country by the Zydus Cadil. mRNA vaccine, all of us are interested because in the Western world it is available in the name of Pfizer and Moderna. Again, the mechanism is same. In a lipid nanoparticles, again a segment which is responsible for production of the spike protein is embedded, and it is given to an individual. When with the lipase action, the outer lipid protection is broken, and this mRNA segment enters into the body in the host cell, uses the machinery, again produces the spike proteins, and spike proteins, the antibodies are produced in our own body. The best example for this, the Pfizer, and second is Moderna. The third will be introduced by our own country, where the Serum Institute is working on that. The popularity this vaccine has got because of the very high immunogenicity, very high antibody titers, and vaccine efficacy to the tune of 95 to 96% against those variants which were there at that time, like Wuhan variant or the UK variant. Now, as we have discussed about thrombosis with thrombocytopenia syndrome, here we are worried about the myocarditis with mRNA vaccine. Why we are more worried? Because this is more commonly seen in the younger population from 12 to 29 years. And what they have seen, around say 40 patients per 1 lakh doses in the pediatric population or in the adolescent population, they will have this myocarditis. How these patients will present? Fortunately, most of them will have mild disease, but they can come with chest pain, they can come with palpitation, they can come with dizziness, they can come with some irregular heartbeats. And the FDA has given the warning that pediatric population, if they are receiving this mRNA vaccine and if they are having any of these symptoms, must go to the physician. They must make sure that this is a mild disease, no treatment is required, or they can be kept under observation for a few days. Another thing which the CDC has recently recommended, normal dose interval is of 21 days between these two doses. Here they say you increase the dose to 8 weeks. by which you are reducing the chances of myocarditis if you increase the span between the two doses. So this is for the those who are taking mRNA vaccine after going in the United States. This is all I have already discussed. Again, the same. Now a word about the super vaccine. What is the super vaccine? The Walter Reed Army Institute developed a vaccine which will protect most probably against the all possible variants. It is called as spike ferritin nanoparticles. It is looking like a soccer ball. And the saucer ball, they have attached 24 spike proteins of different VOCs, that is variants of concern. With the aim, if we can prepare a vaccine like this, at least it is going to protect you against the 24 variants of concerns against the COVID. It is still in the pipeline, and likely they have done the human studies phase 1, but in future we might get this super vaccine where you do not have to worry about the variant of concern. You take this one shot and you are protected against all variants. What vaccine efficacy I was repeatedly telling you. The vaccine efficacy is from the primary disease and vaccine efficacy against the severe disease or the mortality or the death. WHO has very clearly said any vaccine which has got vaccine efficacy above 50% can be included in the emergency use authorization, because this 50% means 50% chance that you will not get the COVID, but 100% chance that you will be protected against the severe. So if Pfizer vaccine will say that our vaccine efficacy is 96% and Covishield, which you have taken and I have taken, says the vaccine efficacy is 60%, that does not mean that the Pfizer vaccine is better at present to me, because I am not worried about the primary disease. I am more worried about the severe disease. So all vaccines which are available today are nearly 100% against the severe disease. Now this is the chart which tells you on the right side, you can see efficacy ranges from 95 to 65. Even for the Sinovac, it is 50%. But all vaccines are equally efficient against the protection against the severe disease. Now, why 2 doses? Why not 1 dose? Because the studies have revealed that if you study the immunology, the first dose is a priming dose. The priming dose will sensitize your immune system. And now the body knows that this kind of an antigen was introduced in my body once, and I'm ready with some antibodies. When a booster or the second dose is given, I'm already having some memory cells. The rapid response will be there, which is seen in this diagram. The first I have introduced either the infection or the vaccine first dose. The response is not very good. Now I have given the second dose. You can see a robust immune response, not in the form of more number of antibodies, but more number of memory cells. So now for a long-term protection, I need 2 doses, which the antibody titers on a higher side will be maintained for at least 6 months, and memory cells will protect me if subsequently I am exposed to the virus again. So now if you'll see, almost all the vaccines will have 2 doses. This EUA, I will go through it, because all the vaccines at present, they have got emergency use authorization. This means that this is a special situation where the National Regulatory Authority will go through the safety and immunogenicity of the vaccine efficacy data and will approve the vaccine to be given in the population where they have seen the benefits outweigh the risk. Now in our country, there was nothing for the COVID. Therefore, so even in the Western world, they have given EUA only. So vaccine is not available for the sale. It is not available in the market. It is still under the government control. The government of that particular country has to monitor every dose for the side effects, some long-term side effects. So anytime government can stop giving the vaccine if there is a major problem. So if you see, all the vaccines have to be registered in the CoWIN, and Government of India has got data of all the 187 crore doses given till today. And fortunately for us, none of the vaccine which has been given in the world has got a major side effect and can be given safely. So this is an EUA. So you cannot get this vaccine in your dealers. Now, why vaccines in pediatric age? Initially, if you'll see, the pediatric population was not included in the vaccination program. For the first reason, whenever the vaccine has to be given in pediatric population, the first thing comes is the safety. So unless it's a safe vaccine, it will never be introduced. So even the government would like to see whether there is any major side effect. Second part was that we have seen that the pediatric population was not affected also severe. Very few patients. 95% were asymptomatic. Only those with the high risk had some problem. And as the different variant of concerns have come, like an Omicron, we have seen more and more pediatric patients have started coming. Another thing, if you want to achieve an herd immunity, then we'll have to cover this 33% of the population. If we not vaccinate them, this could be a source for mutation. This could be source for the transmission. This pediatric population, like a flu, can transmit a disease to elderly or to an immunocompromised. Even if he has received a vaccine, his vaccine status or his antibody levels have gone down, and this pediatric patient who is otherwise asymptomatic can transmit the disease. Third, haven't you seen that the pediatric population for 2 years was actually kept at home? They are suffering from so many psychological problems. The parents are not ready to send them to school because of fear of COVID and death and mortality. So some kind of an, you can say, comfort zone for the parents also. And ultimately, you do not know what is going to be the next variant of concern, whether it is going to affect the pediatric population also. So better at this time, when there is no disease, try to vaccinate everybody in this country. So now if you will see, slowly we are decreasing the age group, and we are trying to vaccinate everybody. And this de-escalation for the age, we have started because we have seen the adolescents were behaving closer to the adults. So we have protected them first. Then we have taken from 12 to 17, school-going kids, exam appearing 10, 12. So we wanted to protect them. Now we are going down, 5 to 12. Because now this has to also to be protected. The last group which will be included will be from 2 to 5, which is relatively not severely affected, very mild disease, and usually they do not require any treatment. And fourth important thing, which all of us have treated, is the complication of COVID, like MISC or a long COVID, which we cannot forget that we have seen so many cases of MISC with some complication, with some mortality, and it has been seen in a vaccinated population. We have not seen any case of MISC till today. This is what Jayashree was telling me in the introduction. These are the vaccines in pediatric population in India. Today, everybody has read Times of India, so I have included that also. Now the vaccines which are available to us, one is Covaxin, which has got approval, can be used from 6 years onwards. Corbevax by the biological events, now it has got approval from 5 years onwards. Zycov-D, a DNA vaccine, can be given from 12 to 18 years of age. Covavax, though it has been approved from the age of 12 years onwards, not yet put on the COVID app, so it is not available. It has already been approved for the use of 18 years onwards. So they have got approval from 12 years onwards, but not available. So the vaccines which are available, only 3 for a pediatric population: Covaxin, Corbevax, Zycov-D. Okay. Now what the CDC says, what is the world scenario? In the world, if you'll see, the Americans were the first, after having the good trials in pediatric population, they have introduced the vaccine in the age group of 12 to 18 years. Then they have brought down it to 7 to 12, and now they are routinely recommending from the age of 5 years. And the same recommendations they have seen, the same dose schedule has been given. What we have to remember, I have tried to include in this, the only vaccine which has been approved is Pfizer, which can be given at all ages above 5 years. Not to be given below 4 years, 5 to years only Pfizer, 12 to 17 only Pfizer, again 17 onwards only Pfizer. So even in America, only Pfizer vaccine is approved from the age of 5 years. Now they have introduced booster also. From 12 years onwards, those who have received 2 doses of Pfizer will get a booster after the age of 4 months from the last dose. Sorry for this poor quality which I got just 10 minutes before, so I could not convert it into properly. but this is the recommendation. From 5 to 11 years, they have got a different formulation. They give 10 micrograms, not the 30 micrograms, which is available with the orange cap. For this, where the booster is not recommended, you have to give 2 doses by 3 weeks apart. Booster not recommended. If highly immunocompromised individual, then you give 2 doses 3 weeks apart and an additional dose 4 weeks after the second dose. Again, from 12 to 17 years, same. You get booster after 5 months if it is not immunocompromised. You get additional dose if it is severely immunocompromised plus additional booster dose. 18 years older, you have 2 options. Either you can go for a mRNA vaccine or you can go for Janssen. That is Johnson and Johnson's viral vector vaccine. But CDC says, if possible, till 18 years of age, use mRNA vaccine, which is quite safe. Now we will see in a primary series, the dose interval they have given from 4 to 8 weeks from the initial 21 days. Why? Because they have seen in the age group of 12 years onwards, the risk of myocarditis, which we have discussed. And if they say, if you increase the interval between 2 doses to 8 weeks, the chances of myocarditis are less. So those having some relatives or those who are coming from the Western world to our country and they say we have taken 1 dose here and 1 dose here, at least we should be updated for this schedule which is available. Whether the intranasal vaccine be more efficacious? Yes. The Bharat Biotech is trying to develop an intranasal vaccine because once I give the intranasal, it gives an IgA type of antibodies which are going to protect at the local level. And so intranasal vaccine is going to be another game changer if it is available. And what they are trying, again, they are trying the adeno-vector vaccine for this intranasal. I'm just trying to give an updates. Do I need follow COVID appropriate behavior? Yes. Whatever vaccine you take, you must remember SMS. And we were surviving only because of the SMS and the vaccine. So there is no alternative to SMS. Even today in our own OPD, I am using vaccine as long as I am in the OPD or I am in the crowded places. So there is no question of not following this mask and everything. Is it necessary for a COVID recovered person to take the vaccine? Yes, because after your infection, the vaccine the antibodies will protect you for 3 months, not more than that. Many times they may not be neutralizing type of antibodies. So anybody who had COVID in the past should get a vaccine. And I tell you, those who had the disease in the past and gets a vaccine, they are better off as against those who take only vaccine. That is called as the hybrid immunity. And hybrid immunity is better than the immunity only with the vaccine. The question for the question answer session. Immunocompromised patient, yes. All immunocompromised patient must take the COVID vaccine because this is the only hope for them, though the immune response may not be as good as the immunocompetent person. Any vaccine now can be given with all other vaccine. You can give COVID vaccines at the same time you can give Tdap vaccine or any other vaccine. So there is no 14 days gap kept between these two. Initially it was recommended, now it is no more recommended. Should I repeat the dose? The CDC says 4 days of grace period is already given. Sometimes if it is given even less than 4 days, do not repeat. This is what the CDC recommends. For us, this is not the problem because we are giving at the gap of 3 months or something like that. So they say if you have given 2 doses, at least do not give. After 2 months of the second dose, you can do the anti-spike antibodies and see whether you have been seroconverted. There is no upper age limit. Suppose I have received 1 dose today and I have forgotten to take the second dose and I go to the doctor after 3 months. Don't repeat the first one. Go for the second dose and finish it. You can cancel. What do you mean by variants? Variant means, as we know, the viruses, especially the RNA viruses, they have got the capacity to mutate. And mutations are continuously going on. Some are minor mutations. And suppose the new mutated virus has got only transmissibility, but not severity of the disease. It is called as the variant of interest, VOI. But a variant of concern is the one which has been mutated from the previous virus, having high transmissibility, having high mortality, and an immune escape phenomenon, that the immunity which you and me having after the vaccination, this virus can evade this immunity and still can attack. So now you may require higher antibody titers, or you may require a new vaccine which includes this mutated. And in Omicron, everybody has seen. All of us were vaccinated, but still almost everybody must be having Omicron one day or the other. Only because it was mild in nature, we were not worried about. Now this tells you the vaccine efficacy, which was claimed to be 80%, 90% or something, it has gone to 60%, 70%. And for the Delta, the Moderna and Pfizer, which they were claiming 95% so, has gone down to 50%, 70%. So neutralizing titers have gone down, though they have protected to some extent. The Americans had to take one booster dose to take care of the patients from the Delta infection. So vaccine efficacy will go down with the variant of concern, and we'll have to take boosters off and on if our antibody titers are going down, till we understand exact immune phenomena, how we'll be protected if I take one vaccine and I'm protected for a longer period. Now, the last part of this discussion. Again, we're coming back to the protein subunit vaccine. Now, the platform which we have already discussed. Now, the Novavax, the biggest vaccine trial in the world, they have taken a complete spike protein, and they have prepared a vaccine. Whereas another company, Corbevax, they have taken, this is what. The left-hand side is complete spike protein. The right one is only receptor binding domain. So receptor binding domain and subunit vaccine is Corbevax. Complete spike protein is Novavax in the world. The Serum Institute got the manufacturing right, and they have got their own vaccine with the same criteria. There is no change as far as Novavax and Coavax is concerned. Only the name has changed, and it is by Serum Institute. So now Coavax is same as Novavax. Now a bit about it. As we have already seen how, correct. Now this is also called as 2373. First time in the USA, the largest study which has done. Now it is manufactured by Serum Institute in the name of Coavax. It has been approved by WHO and now available in 36 countries. Now Coavax is approved from 12 to 18 years old population and also in the adult population in our country, whereas Novavax is approved from 12 years onwards in the world. So this is a very safe vaccine approved by WHO for emergency use authorization. A well-established technology, very safe, highly immunogenic, then can be used very safely in an immunocompromised patients. No live components, so there is no risk of transmission of the disease. And because it produces lot of neutralizing antibodies, there are no side effects except the side effects of the adjuvant which has been used with this. Now let us go to the details. It has got two parts. One is the protein part, which we have seen is a spike protein, and they are using a very special adjuvant called as matrix M. It is from the T-bar. What are the advantages of the adjuvant? The addition of adjuvant will make the vaccine more immunogenic. More immunogenic means more and more antibodies will be formed. And not only this, after use of this matrix M, not only the antibody levels have gone up, but the memory cell concentration has also gone. So it stimulates the immune system to produce more and more memory cells also. So this way, the matrix M adjuvant is very important in this. The second thing, if you go into the details of this, if you use the alum which is used in Corbevax, it gives you more of non-neutralizing of antibodies also and Th2 type of immune response. Whereas if you take the matrix M, which is used in Novavax or Coavax, it gives you Th1. And this Th1 mimics the natural infection and more neutralizing antibodies are produced. So side effects are less and long-term protection is better. These are the advantages of the spike. How it is prepared? Very simple. Now we'll take the desired gene which is responsible for the spike protein. it is introduced in the baculovirus. Now this baculovirus containing the spike protein antigen will infect the moth cell. Inside the moth cell, it will produce large number of spike proteins. Now the researchers will take the spike proteins, will extract it from the moth cells, which is possible in your laboratory, will purify the spike protein, will prepare a vaccine, and this vaccine is given to an individual. So very safe platform. N number of doses can be prepared. Anytime the escalation of the production is possible and can be given from any age group, because we have already used this platform from the age of 6 months in our flu patients. This is diagrammatic representation in what we have already discussed, so we will not go into the detail. Again, the same. Matrix M I have already discussed. It enhances the biological functions to generate more potent and robust, long-lasting antibodies, which is the basic advantage of the matrix M. And with the use of matrix M, you can use the smaller dose of antigen with the same response. See how? Yeah, this is the slide. Now, if you'll see, if I take 2 doses of 5 microgram with matrix M, which can be compared with 25 micrograms with matrix M, the antibody titers are much, much above the convalescent sera, which persists for almost 6 months. So I can use only 5 micrograms instead of 25 micrograms. And still I'm having very good antibody titers, which is much above the convalescent sera, that is the sera of a patient who had disease. So it is above the convalescent sera almost for 6 months. This blue line, which 1 dose of 25 micra, it says the antibody levels are quite low right from the beginning. So I cannot use a single dose Novavax or Coavax.
Recording in progress.
Because we want that 2 doses with the antibody titers above the convalescent sera. So 1 dose of subunit vaccine is no more recommended, and we can use only 5 microgram with matrix M. This is the advantage. We have already seen across the world in 4 continents, they have conducted the studies. More than 50,000 participants in the studies for safety, immunogenicity, and vaccine efficacy. They have tried. The results, I will just go through a little faster one. Almost 80% and above primary efficacy. In all, they have achieved endpoints, but it was studied against the initial UK variant. No significant drop even in the Delta. So you can use even in the Delta wave, we can use the subunit vaccine. 100% protection against the severe disease. This is what more important for all of us. 100% protection against moderate to severe disease. Again, in the high-risk population, the protection is almost 91%. So fairly a good vaccine, as can be compared as good as an mRNA vaccine which is available in the world, more safer. So this Novavax trials, they have proved that across the world, 50,000 participants, it is the vaccine efficacy trials already been published in the New England Journal of Medicine, which is a peer-reviewed journal, proved safety, immunogenicity, and a very good efficacy against all variants. Indian studies, can I go a little faster in these studies and so that we'll have some more time? Indian studies on 1,600 participants can be compared, already WHO approved, with the same Serum Institute has also got WHO approval. USA pediatric data, if you'll see on the 3,000 adolescents, what it says, Indian studies, now this is very important. The Indian study has been done in the age group of 2 to 17 years in the 3:1 ratio, and see the response. They have also given 2 doses for the geometric mean fold rise. Means suppose baseline is 5, after giving 2 doses, it has gone by 101 times, which is a robust immune response. Even if I take a seroconversion, means 4 times increase in the antibody titers, it has gone up to 100%. So almost 98.8 people have seroconverted. This kind of a robust immune response as well as the vaccine efficacy in Indian trials also. If you see the side effects, minimum. But as I've said, it has got some adjuvant. The local side effects will be more as compared to any other vaccine, but they can be managed very well with the antipyretics. Very safe. Now see, now if you take 7 to 12 years, the geometric mean fold rise of anti-IgG is 157 times better than in the age group of 12 to 17. It was 101 times, it is 157 times. So younger the age, better the immune response, which all of us have seen in pediatric population. Seroconversion in the age group of 7 to 12 is 100%. So again, it is very effective vaccine. And neutralizing antibodies, again 98%. The same in the age group of 12 to 17. In short, as far as the Novavax or the Covovax is concerned, because this data was available to us, the Corbevax data is not available because it is given to DCJ. It is not available in the public domain, so I cannot disclose that data. The Covovax is highly immunogenic with more than 98% seroconversion in all the age groups. The geometric mean fold rise is 100 to 150 times the baseline. The seroconversion is almost to the tune of 100%. Neutralizing antibodies were seen almost 80 times to 100 times. Well tolerated. Immune response is excellent in the age group from 7 to 12, also from 2 to 7, and as we have already been proved between 12 to 17, with minimum side effects. I think the take-home message for the Novavax or the Covovax is a safe, well-tolerated, effective vaccine, not only for the adult population, but also for a pediatric population. And with limited vaccines available in the pediatric population, I think if it is made available in pediatric population, might be a game changer. Another vaccine which can be a game changer is an intranasal vaccine. I'm sure Bharat Biotech is working on it, and very soon the nasal vaccine will be introduced to us. Then we'll have two good vaccines. One is protein subunit vaccine. Second is an intranasal vaccine. And our pediatric population can be very well protected and will be very, they will also feel very safe. And the schooling will start normally. The parents will have less fear of sending their kids to the school. The psychological trauma which our pediatric population has already suffered in 2 years will go down. Their overall growth, whether it is emotional, whether it is physical, whether it is growth in all parts, will be as normal as before the COVID. And 2022 will have fairly a normal life, which all of us have enjoyed before 2019 or 2020. Thank you all my friends for your patient listening. Now I have covered some part of the COVID. I'm sure so many questions in your mind. Now if there are any questions, I'll be very happy to answer all the questions. Questions may be related to COVID of the topic which we have not covered, or any topic which we have covered in this PPT. Thank you.
It was a
Should I stop sharing the screen?
Yeah. Yeah. It was really mesmerizing to know so much detail and robust study, and way you presented it, we tried to understand in a better way. There are some questions in chat box. Dr. Praveen wants to know any vaccine for 0 to 2 years.
Unfortunately, no. The reasons I will tell you, this is the segment which is not affected severely. We have not seen any pediatric patients in less than 2 years was admitted and had some problem or respiratory. So the last priority will be given to this age group, and no platform is working on this age group. So at present, there is no vaccine.
He also asked, do you recommend a third dose? I think it's for the
Pediatric.
Covishield or Covovax or Corbevax, which we will be giving to children.
See, at present, we'll be introducing in the primary dosing. And then this patient will be followed for the antibody titers and how long it is. But I'm sure even with this protein subunit vaccine, either it will be like a flu vaccine, if there are significant mutations taking place, and we'll be taking a subunit vaccine every year like we take a flu vaccine, or there is a possibility just to maintain the antibody titers after say 6 months, because if you go back to our previous slide where antibody titers were going little down from the patient sera levels. So even after 6 months, like any other vaccine, we will require a dose, additional dose, and that will be called as a booster. But at present, no booster is recommended in this study because it has been started in pediatric population. But just to divert it a little bit, for an adult population, I'm telling you, what we have received is a precautionary dose. If given a choice, I will take this protein subunit vaccine as a booster, which is not yet recommended by Government of India. So I will not say that it has to be taken. But this is going to be a very good vaccine based on the boost curve study, which was done in UK. Because what I have received is a homologous vaccine, Covishield. Because we did not have the adequate data, the government says this is just a precautionary dose. We are not very sure whether it should be called as booster. So all those who were at risk were given precautionary dose of homologous vaccine. But everywhere in the world, they say heterologous doses have done better as compared to the homologous, except mRNA vaccine.
So we will wait for these vaccines to be available for adults. Dr. Suryakant Sankhe want to say something and ask something. Dr. Sankhe, please unmute yourself.
Presentation, and I think we felt that we are in immunology class because things were very different when we read and we were confused actually. But you have made the subject very simple and it's a more practical oriented. So my few questions were, government doesn't allow private practitioners to give any vaccination. We have to go through the COVID app, and many times it happens that these vaccines are not available in a proper schedule also. So how many years or how many months it will take that private practitioners will be given permission to store and to distribute or practice in their own clinics? That is one question. And now the news has come today itself that above 5 years, certain vaccines, Indian government is giving permission. So how many months it will take to be in a practice? That are the few questions.
Sanket, your question is very genuine. All of us are also having the same, you can say, the issue. The ACVIP has already given through the IAP, central IAP, we have already given it to the government of India. And I said, we have got such a good infrastructure and all of us are so used to giving the vaccine and our patients are having faith in us. And we can contribute by giving so many doses per day because there are at least 30,000 pediatricians in this country. The problem with the government that the vaccine has got emergency use authorization. By rule, it says that vaccine will be supervised by the government agency. See, what will happen once it is made available in the public domain? I purchase the vaccine. I am not bothered about the cold chain. I may not have the, you can say, the importance of cold chain. I give the vaccine, which is not maintained at 2 to 8 degrees, and patient did not get the required result. What will happen? People will have no faith in the vaccination program. People will say this is a useless vaccine. And suppose there are major side effects, which we do not know. Because in pediatric population, the vaccination has just started. Every patient is monitored. So once it is very safe and adequate vaccine efficacy and safety trials will be published, government cannot give approval. If you see any vaccine which is introduced in pediatric population, it takes almost 10 years. And this has been given within a span of 1 or 2 years. So on the safety issue, government will not take a chance because government says we are giving you vaccine, we are making the centers available. Now in the schools they are going and giving. So this is basically safety point of view rather than not allowing us to give the vaccine. But your concern is quite genuine.
And I think we, as you have said, that pediatrician will be great help to the government.
Absolutely.
If we are included
we have already given this proposal that we go to the schools, we give the vaccine, allow us to give the vaccine in the schools because we are used to giving vaccine our own pediatric population.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, Dr. Sanjay, thank you for your lovely delivery.
संपला प्रश्न?
I wanted to ask, right now they are giving Covaxin to pediatric population 12 years and above.
At few centers, they have made Covaxin available from 12 years onwards. Now, today, they will say it has been approved from the use of 6 years onwards.
Covaxin.
6 years. From today's news, and Corbevax, which was initially approved for 12 years, now it is available, approved for 5 years onwards. But Corbevax is already on the COVID app. So now only the age limit will go down.
So how does the government decide which center will give Corbevax and which center will give Covaxin?
Like in adults, there were Covaxin available at few centers and Covishield available at few centers. So depending upon the number of doses available, they will have to decide. Suppose the vaccine available is only for five centers. They will say, okay, get this medical college and all that, go there and give it Covaxin. See, Covaxin was given in elderly population more frequently because the platform of viral vector vaccine was not well studied and there were few concerns after the age of 80 years and all that. So all those elderly population, people used to say, go and take Covaxin, a safer platform. Yeah, sir.
Thank you.
Dr. Hemant, Dr. Hemant Joshi, sir.
संजय,
Yes, sir.
तू महाराष्ट्रात मराठीत बोलला आणि उत्तरेत हिंदीत बोलला ना, तर तुझं भाषण जास्त इम्युनोजेनिक होईल, अपटेक जास्त होईल आणि मेमरी रिकॉल जास्त होईल. पण तुला जमेल का असं?
हो, आजच मला यांच्या दाभाडकरांचा फोन आला होता आणि महाराष्ट्र ऍपवर त्यांनी म्हटलंय की 29th of this May there will be a dialogue in मराठी. त्याच्यामुळे मी मराठीतही, आणि मला वाटतं तो युट्यूबवर सगळ्यांसाठी असतो, म्हणजे नॉट ओनली फॉर डॉक्टर्स.
तो सगळ्यांसाठी
तो मराठीमध्ये आहे, तर नक्की मी प्रयत्न करेन.
डॉक्टरांचा पण अपटेक आणि रिटेन्शन आणि इम्युनोजेनिसिटी आणि मेमरी सेल्स जास्त मराठीतच चांगले काम करतात. फक्त आपल्याला
आणि
कळत
मला मराठीत बोलायला काहीच प्रॉब्लेम नाही. काही वर्ड्स इंग्लिश मध्येच वापरावे लागतात जे मराठीत मलाच नाही माहित.
चालेल. गुड. पुढच्या वेळा शुभेच्छा. 29 ला आहे तुला, 27.
29 मे म्हटलं होतं त्यांनी, पण अजून फायनल नाही केलं.
बरोबर, 29 मे संडेच आहे. ते पेरेंट्स लेमन साठी चांगलं आहे.
त्यांच्यासाठी मराठीत हिंदीत बोलू शकतो ना, काहीच प्रॉब्लेम.
दूरदर्शनवर संजयनेच बोलायला पाहिजे.
संजय उवाच का? संजय उवाच. Sir, a question regarding people have got now a fear of whether the new wave will come in May, because a lot of cases have started coming up from Kerala, Delhi, and especially school children are affected. So, and parents and the students and the general population is least bothered about mask and social distancing, because our government gives a loose, I will say, statement that it is optional. But again, Delhi government has started making it compulsory that mask should be used. So what are your guidelines for our clinics and hospitals? Because patients don't listen nowadays. When we tell relative, when you enter the hospital, at least wear the mask. Nor the relatives, those who are staying with the patient, they are using masks. In consulting also, it is very difficult to convey the message to the parents. So what should be our strategy as a doctor? I'm talking as a doctor, not a national consensus.
See, the point number one, that this pandemic is not going to subside in a couple of years. The pandemic will be converted into an endemic disease. And like flu, you will have outbreaks in between. Sometimes on the northern India, sometimes in the western India. So you will get, like, sometimes you get there are 500 cases of flu in Delhi, whereas not a single case in Maharashtra. So till yesterday when there was Omicron, all across the country the cases were going up. So central government introduced the guidelines. Then Maharashtra government introduced the guidelines for Maharashtrians. Similarly, what I personally feel, that do not be relaxed totally. In my own hospital, I am using mask. If suppose the doctor is using mask, suppose the hospital staff is using the mask, the patients will also listen. Right in the entry, you restrict their entry to one relative with the patient. Normally, there is one patient and 5 relatives.
True.
And all of us would like to tell some part of the history about the patient. which is actually irrelevant to us. But everybody feels that they are contributing something by giving some kind of an history. So rule number 1 in my hospital, use the sanitizer which is kept at the door. Only one relative with the patient. And now I'm allowing them to come inside the chamber. Otherwise, I used to go outside in a space where there is a good exhaust and all that. So we'll have a separate waiting and we'll allow only 2 patients in our waiting hall. I will go outside, see them, examine them, write down everything, and prescription is given, and then they go. The next 2 patients are on. Now, because the number of patients in Nagpur are almost nil, now I'm allowing them to come inside the chamber, but only one relative at home. I think if we are very strict, the patient will also listen to us. What we should avoid, then sudden relaxation by the government of Maharashtra or government of India with some other motives in their mind. I do not know what are the motives for them. Suddenly the malls are open, the hotels are open, now the cinema theaters are open. The cinema theater, and see, if you have 10 cases, you never know which one is there in your cinema hall. And cinema hall is an closed AC chamber where there is a maximum chance of spread of the infection. So person like me will prefer not to go to a cinema hall, will watch whatever is available on the TV. So if it is possible, all of us should do the same thing. Swimming pool is another place. Now summer has come. Everybody would like go to swimming pool. This is another where another 300 people are swimming at one time. Can transmit the disease. So try to avoid the congested places. But then sometimes it is practically impossible to give such guidelines. But as far as possible, in our own hospital, we can follow.
True.
Thank you.
Hemant Joshi sir wants to talk.
आपण ना सगळ्यांनी क्लिनिक मध्ये आणि सगळीकडे एक्झॉस्ट फॅन्स खूप लावायला पाहिजे. One exhaust fan is better than 10 fans, 10 wall fans or ceiling fans. आणि हॉस्पिटलला जर हॉस्पिटलचा वास येतो तर you need exhaust fans.
But sir, I absolutely agree with Joshi sir. And this was the recommendation which was given in the first wave नंतरचं रिकमेंडेशन होतं की प्रत्येक क्लिनिक मध्ये, आणि बऱ्याचशा वेळेला काय व्हायचं की यांच्या क्लिनिक मध्ये एक छोटंसं चेंबर असायचं, त्याला चारीकडून बंद असायचं, आणि तेव्हा आपण एक एसी लावून टाकायचं, एक्झॉस्ट लावायला जागाच नसायची. सो मेनी ऑफ द पिडियाट्रिशियन्स हॅव चेंज देअर ओपीडीज, आणि इट इज मॅन्डेटरी की तुमचा जो एक्झॉस्ट फॅन आहे तो पेशंटला जिथे तुम्ही एक्झामिन करता त्याच्या मागे पाहिजे, तुमच्या मागे नाही. तुमच्या मागे असेल तर तो एक्झॉस्ट सगळं एअर तुमच्याकडे ओपन करतो, सक करतो. तो पेशंटचा एक्झॉस्ट फॅन पेशंटला तुम्ही जिथे तपासता त्याच्या मागे पाहिजे, आणि तुमचा जो फॅन आहे तो तुमच्या डोक्यावर पाहिजे. म्हणजे द व्हायरसेस विल गो अवे फ्रॉम यू अँड द एक्झॉस्ट विल सक द एअर अँड विल थ्रो आउट. दॅट वॉज द कॉन्सेप्ट. माझ्या सगळ्या म्हणजे माझ्या ओपीडी मध्ये एक्झॉस्ट आहे, माझ्या वेटिंग पिरियड मध्ये एक्झॉस्ट आहे, माझ्या बाकीचे जे पेशंट असतात तिथे एक एक्झॉस्ट आहे.
एक्झॉस्टिव्ह प्रॅक्टिस आहे तुमची.
Good one.
Nice one.
एक जस्ट सांगतो, एका फ्रेंड हॅड अ कॅन्सर, कलिक pediatrician had cancer, and post recovery he wanted to practice again. So he asked me, how should I sit in the clinic? I said, your clinic should have an open window, sunlight coming in, and a fan should direct air from that window on you and then away, and then you will not get infection. And it worked.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Another point I think which I have not discussed, and I thought somebody will ask me in the question answer session, the safety in pregnant women and safety in lactating mothers. Now it is very, very clear to all of us, highly recommended, that pregnancy itself is a high risk situation for COVID. And if you get COVID during pregnancy, you can have high mortality, high morbidity, high chances of getting admissions with ventilatory care. Safety has been proved beyond doubt. So at any stage of the pregnancy, whatever the vaccine is available in your country can be given, at any time of the pregnancy. Additional advantage, I will tell you. There are some studies, and one study was published in American Journal of Obstetrics, and another study was published in Pediatrics American Journal. They have seen the neutralizing type of antibodies in cord blood, neutralizing antibodies in the infant, which has been transmitted transplacentally from mother to the newborn baby. Even in a lactating mother, if she gets the vaccine, there are antibodies which are transmitted through the mother's milk to the baby, and you will be surprised, in the Western world, mothers are reluctant to feed the baby even for 3-4 months. During the COVID pandemic, they were feeding the child up to 2 years, with the aim that some antibodies will be given to the child and my child will be protected, because there was no vaccine up to the age of 2 years. So absolutely safe and must be given.
So you said hybrid immunity is better than the with vaccine immunity which we give.
It's
So
not
why you say-
recommended, huh? Otherwise you'll say get infection first and then get the vaccine. This is only a research tool. They have studied those who had disease first and then they have taken a vaccine. Their long-term memory cells were on a very high level. They had higher levels of B cells and T cell memory cells. So that way, they said hybrid immunity is better. So you should not stop yourself from taking the vaccine if you had disease in the past. मेरे को तो डिसीज हो गया आता मी नाही घेतलं तरी काय फरक नाही पडत मला तर वॅक्सिन घ्यायची काय गरज नाही.
It's okay for infections, but when you have already completed your primary series boosters, some countries have started giving second boosters now. Is there no anamnestic response whereby the infection itself will induce the antibodies and protect you?
Your point is very valid. See what is happening. I will give you the similar example. Those diseases where the incubation period is less than 8 days. Okay. And now I have received the vaccine. I have got good antibody levels. Over the period of time, the antibody levels are going down. Now I am exposed to the COVID infection. Within the span of 6 to 7 days, I will get the disease. My antibodies will be formed after 10 or 12 days. Secondary immune response. So the similar example I can give is hepatitis B. Why booster is not required? Because the incubation period of hepatitis B is few weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And if I am already immunized against hepatitis B, and now I am exposed to the hepatitis B virus, my body will have a secondary immune response, will have good antibody levels by 9th day, but the incubation period is 3 weeks. So my army is ready to fight with the virus. But with those infections with the short incubation period, like meningococcal, the pneumococcal disease, I must maintain the antibody levels. माझी army तयारच ठेवायला लागेल. I cannot say that my army is coming from Delhi, so you should wait for till my army comes. So those infections with the short incubation period, you have to maintain the antibody titers by giving frequent boosters. The incubation period is longer, I do not require a booster.
And if COVID is a RNA virus, where from this DNA vaccine come? Is this because you are integrating it with plasmid DNA?
Very simple. One thing is very sure that this DNA is not interfering with any nucleic acid of the host. Because what they will say, from this RNA, they will prepare a DNA of that.
From RNA, they will prepare DNA.
Correct. From the RNA of the virus, they will prepare a DNA. Then they will put it in the plasmid. Because the advantage of the DNA vaccine is can be stored at 2 to 8 degrees. RNA vaccine has to be stored at 67 degrees or 70 degrees, which is not possible.
So it is a conversion of RNA to DNA.
Correct. So it is basically the DNA is again converted into a messenger RNA.
Into
Messenger
plasma.
RNA enters into the cytoplasm, uses the same machinery and produces the spike protein inside the host cell. So if you see the mRNA vaccine or DNA vaccine, or even for that purpose, the viral vector vaccine, the ultimate mechanism is same. Only the platforms and the paths are different. Somebody will come through the plasmid, somebody will come through the adenovirus, somebody will come through the lipid nanoparticles, but ultimately they will produce the spike proteins in the host cells.
Thank you.
So since you are from the advisory committee on vaccine and immunization practices, we would like to know the recent updates on various other vaccines also. Like IPV, they have asked for a booster.
Now you want now the answer?
So do you want us to update, or you will post various vaccines? They have changed the protocol, like second dose of varicella is now recommended. So many other vaccines also have changed the
Do you want a
advice.
separate? Do you want a separate program or what?
Yeah, that will be better, I think. Yeah.
We can take in a CME, we can take.
Okay.
Dr.
You can
Hemant
give me the
Joshi.
topic. We can prepare on that.
Yeah.
Separate program.
Chale.
And we can have only a question answer session.
Yes.
So there is no PPT.
Hmm.
You can ask on this
Anything.
recent advances, the recommendations of ACVIP, or we can take 5-6 vaccines and discuss on it. That
Yeah.
is not the problem.
हेमंत
तशीच त्यांना बोलायचं.
काय म्हटलं?
हेमंत सरांना काहीतरी बोलायचं होतं.
हो. अनम्यूट करा सर.
अनम्यूट कर हेमंत.
कधी कधी डायकोटॉमी असते. तुमच्या ACVIP मध्ये काम करणं खूप कठीण आहे. सायन्स टेल्स यू समथिंग एल्स, गव्हर्नमेंट टेल्स यू समथिंग एल्स बिकॉज ऑफ देअर प्रॉब्लेम्स. म्हणजे एक डोस द्यायचं म्हटलं की त्यांना 140 कोटी डोसचा विचार करायला लागतो. त्यामुळे आपल्याला 2 ABC असं पाहिजे. ए म्हणजे व्हॉट इज नॅशनल पॉलिसी, बी म्हणजे व्हॉट इज सायन्स, असं काहीतरी 2 अलग मांडायला पाहिजे. म्हणजे मग क्लॅरिटी राहील सगळीकडे.
सर मला असं वाटतं,
ऐक पूर्ण करतो. आय एम विथ SAP वर. मला आय अंडरस्टँड द डिफिकल्टीज यू हॅव देअर. सो देर आर नो कॉमेंट्स ऑन दॅट. आय एम जस्ट सेइंग की आपण ते सगळं लिहायला पाहिजे, पण खाली फुटनोट पाहिजे की सायन्स इज बाबा न्यूमोकॉकसच्या 2 डोस घेतले तर पुरे आहे. वेरएज गव्हर्नमेंट गिव्स 3 फॉर द लॉजिस्टिक फॉर व्हॉट एव्हर रिझन्स. म्हणजे मला ते कधी कळतच नाही की अख्ख्या जगाला 2 चालतात तर आपल्याला 3 कशाला लागतात. सगळ्या वॅक्सिन्स बद्दल आहे ते. सगळीकडे 2, 4, 6 चालते. मग आपल्याला कशा 1.5, 2.5 म्हणजे. पण माझा अभ्यास नाही त्याच्यावर म्हणून मी काही बोलत नाही.
लॉजिस्टिक्स.
याच्यामध्ये I will try to explain in a few slides. See, ACYP is meant for an individual protection.
Correct. Absolutely.
In the OPD.
Oh.
The government guidelines are having their priorities different.
Correct.
आता तुम्ही जर निमोकॉकलचं म्हटलं, the government of India's aim is to bring down the severity and incidence of pneumonia.
Correct.
In the overall population. पण ते त्याच्यामध्ये 10-20 पेशंटचा विचार नाही करत की त्याला समजा झालंय निमोनिया उद्या.
बरोबर.
तरी काय, पण ओव्हरऑल इन्सिडन्स हॅज कम डाऊन.
Correct.
So government will think on that. Government will think on the cost effectiveness. Suppose instead of giving 4 doses, if I can give 3 doses and manage this show, then it is possible. But when we recommend based on the studies which are available. Then we also say, ACVIP also says, like in Maharashtra, tomorrow Maharashtra government introduces 2+1 for pneumococcal vaccine, and every individual takes 2+1. Even in my OPD, I can give 2+1.
Correct.
So not that I am not against it,
Barabar.
but suppose only 10-20% of the population which is coming to our OPD and they want protection, then I have to say you go for the best possible recommendation of 4 doses.
Correct.
At present. I will give the example. HPV now the recommendation has come only 1 dose is enough. WHO has said 1 dose of HPV is enough. If it is introduced at the mass vaccination level, 1 dose will be enough, because then the boys, girls, everybody will be vaccinated.
Correct.
So overall the incidence of HPV will go down. If the population is not exposed to HPV, तुम्हाला सर्वायकल कॅन्सर व्हायचे चान्सेस तसेच कमी होऊन जाते.
शेवटचा एक मुद्दा संजय.
हो.
तू अकॅडमिशियन पण आहेस आणि बरंच तुला जास्त पण कळतं त्याच्या पलीकडनं, म्हणून हे बोलत आहे आता की आपण सगळ्यांनी सांगून MR आली आहे, MMRच्या ऐवजी अनेक प्रकारे सांगून. जर 40,000 पेडियाट्रिशियननी एक दिवस ईमेल केले ना सीएम प्राईम मिनिस्टरला, तर उद्या MMR लागू होऊन जाईल. वी हॅव टू डू अ डिफरंट लॉजिस्टिक्स. तर ते तू आणि मी आणि आपण उपेंद्र आपण सगळे म्हणून करू बरं, की एक मेला 40,000 ईमेल गेले पाहिजे की थ्रू आउट MR अँड स्टार्ट MMR. अरे उद्या रात्री चालू होऊन जाईल.
That is MMR at 9 months.
नाही, एनी टाइम, नॉट MR, MMR.
That is MR is only given at 9 months.
हो, पण ते MMR वापरायला पाहिजे.
हो,
₹1 ते मूर्ख
Correct,
बाबू लोकांना काय कळत नाही, पण ते आणि त्यांना नाही नाही ठीक आहे, आय एम टॉकिंग सायन्स. आणि त्यांना कळत नाही हे कोणाला कळत नाही. असो, आपण करूया हे. आता तू यंग आहेस, अजून यंग ब्लड आहे, मराठी दौडून करून टाकू आपण.
नक्कीच. आणि ACVIP has strongly recommended MMR.
अरे पण ते बंद कानांवर पडते ना, त्याला मोठा आवाज करायला लागतो.
तर IIP ला रिप्रेझेंटेशनच नाही आहे ना. There is
हो.
no representation of IIP in central government.
40,000 ईमेल केले की उद्या मिळून जाईल.
होईल. Correct.
शुभेच्छा. चला,
संजय कुठेला पाठवा.
Dr. Anjali Gokarna will say a vote of thanks.
संजय छान बोललास.
हो, थँक्यू डॉक्टर संजय मराठे. तुम्ही आलात आणि आज एवढ्या कठीण सब्जेक्टला तुम्ही अगदी सोप्या भाषेत आम्हाला एक्सप्लेन करून तुम्ही बोललात. आणि नेमकं हे प्लॅटफॉर्म काय हेच आम्हाला माहित नव्हतं. आता आम्हाला थोडं थोडं कळायला लागलंय. आणि तुमचे स्लाइड्स आम्ही परत बघून, रेकॉर्डिंग परत बघून, परत त्याचा अभ्यास करून अजून खोलात जाऊन आम्ही ते शिकून घेऊ. तुम्ही आलात ह्याबद्दल खूप खूप धन्यवाद. IIP पालघर तर्फे डॉक्टर नीता सुते तुम्ही पण आलात, तुम्हाला पण धन्यवाद. आणि काही वेळा आधी मला वाटतं डॉक्टर स्मिता चव्हाण ज्या 7 हिल्स मॅनेज करत होत्या त्या पण होत्या ह्या प्लॅटफॉर्मवर. प्लॅटफॉर्मचा शब्द परत मी वापरते दुसऱ्या अर्थाने. आणि आजचा कार्यक्रम खरंच खूप काय म्हणतो सायंटिफिक असा. बेसिकली आपण सायंटिस्ट आहोत आणि तुम्ही ह्याबद्दल खोलात जाऊन आम्हाला इन्फॉर्मेशन दिल्याबद्दल धन्यवाद. जयश्री, तू खूप छान मॉडरेशन केलं आणि तू खूप चांगले स्पीकर आम्हाला शोधून आणून दिले, त्याबद्दल तुला धन्यवाद. अर्चना, हेमंत, तुम्ही आम्हाला नेहमी मराठीत बोलायचं प्रोत्साहन करता, त्यामुळे माझी पण मराठी जरा जरा सुधरत आहे. तुमचं धन्यवाद. आणि तुम्ही नेहमी हा कार्यक्रम होस्ट करता त्याबद्दल धन्यवाद. आज सगळे जे इथे उपस्थित होते त्या सर्वांना मनपूर्वक आभार. आणि असेच आपण भेटत जाऊ. डॉक्टर संजय मराठे यांना परत आपल्याला आमंत्रित करायचंय बद्दल बोलायला, कारण कोविड वॅक्सिन आपण देऊ का नाही देऊ, पण इतर वॅक्सिन आपण रोजच देतो आणि किती त्याबद्दल. आणि मला फक्त एकच बोलायचं होतं की जे गव्हर्नमेंटची पॉलिसी आहे आणि गव्हर्नमेंट शेड्यूल आहे, दॅट इज द मिनिमम दॅट इज रिक्वायर्ड फॉर द एंटायर पॉप्युलेशन. And the IAP recommendation is the desirable or the most desirable schedule for the whole population. So on that note आपण आजचा कार्यक्रम इथे संपूया आणि पुन्हा आपली भेट पुढच्या बुधवारी आणि संजय मराठे सरांना आपण परत भेटणार आहोत. तर भेटत राहू.
माझा मोबाईल नंबर जयश्रीकडे आहे.
मी शेअर करते.
एनी टाइम यू कॅन सेंड मी एनी क्वेरी.
येस,
खाली नाव लिहिलं तर माहित राहील कोण आहे. आणि 24/7 वी आर अवेलेबल टू सॉल्व्ह.
सो नाईस. आणि ACVIP ना फक्त आम्ही इंडियन पीडियाट्रिक्सच्या ह्याच्यात वाचत असतो, पण ACVIP चे मेंबर इथे आज आलेत ह्याचा आम्हाला खूप गर्व आहे.
All of us must follow ACVIP guidelines.
Absolutely.
Don't follow the guidelines given by the pharmaceutical companies.
Absolutely.
And do not follow the so-called KOLs coming from some pharmaceutical company giving you different reasons for that. ACVIP is a scientific body.
Absolutely.
And after working for 2 years with Dr. Kasi as chairperson, I have understood how scientific discussion we had and how it is difficult to give some recommendation, because we give recommendation based on the science, the studies available. Somebody can say, I will give 5 doses, but then he is free to say he can take 5 doses. We cannot say like that.
Yes, and I closely
पुन्हा येईल तसं तू आता पुन्हा येणार असं आम्ही ठरवतोय.
Yes, any time. Will be my
आणि
pleasure.
ACVIP च्या गाईडलाईन्स दर 2 वर्षात येतात मला असं वाटतं, आणि
नाही,
गेल्या
आता
वर्षी
पुन्हा येतात.
2021 मध्ये आलेले.
2020-21 ला आम्ही केले होते. Now
हो.
again it will come in 2022 आणि मग एकदा 2023 मध्ये येईल.
ओके, खूप छान. मला वाटतं हेमंत जोशींनी केला.
एक सांगतो ना, the government program is like a mini, a minimum covering to maximum 140 crore people, and ACVIP is like maxi, covering maximum vaccines.
For me. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
चला recording बंद करू.
Thank you, Joshi sir.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Good seeing you after a long time.
Yes, it was a pleasure.
Request the
Pleasure seeing
members
you
to
both.
stay
छान
back.
छान खूप छान.
Members to stay back.
Please,
Thank you.
members to stay
संजय नाही तर कॉन्फरन्स मध्ये दिसतो धावत इकडून तिकडे धावताना.
अरे नाही सर.
Okay.